Welcome to Interact's Creator Stories podcast. Interact is the easiest way to convert curious people into loyal and happy customers by using a lead generating quiz. On Creator Stories, we get to hear the entrepreneur's journey. This is a podcast about how those creators took their knowledge and experiences to carve out a place in the world, owned what they know is special about themselves, and turned it into a successful company. Today, we get to speak with Liezl Swanson. She is the brains behind Funneltastic.ca and excels in all things funnels from the lead magnet all the way down. All right, let's get started. Hi, guys, and welcome back to Interact's Creator Stories podcast. As usual, I'm so excited to be here with you. I'm your host, Jasmine Solana, and with me, I have an exciting guest, Liezl Swanson from Funneltastic.ca. Liezl, thank you so much for being with us on our show today.
Thanks for having me.
Of
Hi.
course. And for those of you who don't know, so besides her formal bio, Liezl actually also is one of our certified consultants. So she is vetted to help you with your quiz, and she's also one of our business experts in our Interact community. So if you've seen her around, you probably know who she is, but if you haven't, definitely check her out. So Liezl, today, people have already heard your formal bio, but can you please sort of give us a little bit more about what Funneltastic.ca is, who you serve, and then take us back to the beginning. How did you get started in all of this?
Ooh, that's a lot of questions. Okay.
I know I always wonder if I should chop it up, but
Funneltastic.ca, we help small business entrepreneurs with their funnels, so building them and all of the like, starting from the lead magnet all the way down. How I got started. I was originally a virtual assistant. I was helping all of these entrepreneurs behind the scenes in their businesses, getting all of these new skills and learning how a funnel works and all of this. A few years went by and I started to actually niche down and kind of appreciate the way funnels work and kind of just I would say niche down into building funnels for these entrepreneurs. And yeah, that's how I got into it.
So tell me a little bit more about, I guess, sort of, when you think of like service-based businesses, a lot of them tie into business strategy, sort of formulating, how to come up with your business proposal, what that looks like, and all that stuff. But how do you like what brought you to specifically, funnels and automations and whatnot?
Hmm. So, like I was saying, I was working on these for entrepreneurs. They would have trouble with the tech specifically. It seems like everyone is kind of scared of tech, online tech, in-person tech. I just have a trouble with my plugin. Like tech is something people generally stay away from. So I kind of saw this as an opportunity to help people with something that was really difficult in their businesses. So taking that, kind of pairing myself with copywriters and learning all of the ins and outs of all these cool lead magnets. Interact's running cool lead magnets with quizzes. There's discounts. You can do a million things with lead magnets. So kind of just getting into this world and realizing that there's like huge opportunity and just helping my fellow entrepreneur.
I love that. I love that. And I know before this, we did talk about how you recently rebranded your business. And more specifically, you used to kind of be more surrounded around being remote and helping people on their remote businesses. Has that changed? Or is
Mm.
it still relatively the same?
Yeah, so I actually I named my business Remote Liezl because I used to travel all the time and work remotely, and that was my ultimate goal. The pandemic happened, so my name was kind of confusing to a lot of entrepreneurs. They were like, why Remote Liezl? So I'd have to explain it to them. But recently, I have been able to get back on the road, become a digital nomad again. I last time I talked to Jasmine was in Mallorca,
Yeah.
so still traveling. But I want to kind of appeal to everyone who's looking for funnels. I do lead generation funnels, so Funneltastic is a natural name and brand change for me. Yeah.
I love that. I guess while you were going through that transition, what was sort of the driver besides like wanting to appeal to more people? Like, I guess what was that point that you were like, oh, okay, you know what? Like, I need to expand. I'm ready for that next step and I'm going to make this decision.
So I brought on a few new people into my business. So it's not just me working on funnels. I have a small team. So that was one of the big changes is when you hire remote Liezl, you think you're just working with Liezl. So I wanted to kind of expand that. So I have an intern and a VA, and having a small team is like so rewarding. When you can hire that first person, it feels incredible. And yeah, the name naturally changed a few weeks ago because of that. Is the expansion of the team and more focus on funnels for sure.
I love that. I think that's super interesting because I feel like there's this point where rebrands happen, but you never get to hear sort of the why, what happened there, what made that decision. And I think this is the first time that I heard of sort of like rebranding because we're getting bigger and we're expanding. So we want to bring new things to the table. We want this to look a little bit different. So essentially it's same exact business, just bigger and better things.
Exactly. Um, Zeroing in on how I can actually help entrepreneurs the best of my abilities, not just as a virtual assistant. That's too wide, not enough expertise. I want to give it my all with funnels and show everyone what we've got for sure.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. So, when you started out as a virtual assistant, what were, I guess, I'm assuming there were different challenges in terms of kind of figuring out what your niche was, what you wanted that to look like, and then even how to get clients. So, how did you sort of battle that? And then once you figured out, like, okay, I want to get into funnels, it did it get easier? What was that like?
Yeah, so maybe I'll take you back to the start of how I started my business. So I left a relationship, I left a career. I used to be a professional chef, and decided to travel the world. And along those travels, I realized, hey, this isn't sustainable. I cannot bring my chef career with me on vacation or on travels, and I can't make money because I don't have visas in these countries. So I kind of had to think on my feet and think about what I really wanted in life, and um, that trip really changed my life and the trajectory I was going on. When I arrived back home, the last place I was in India. When I arrived back home, I had a thought that I wanted to have an online business so that I could keep traveling. And of course, I didn't know what that was. I was a professional chef that didn't really translate to the online world at all. But I really zeroed in on what skills I already had, which was lots of math, lots of problem solving was a massive thing I had to do day to day, things like that. And yeah, kind of just spoke it out into the universe, told my friends, hey, I'm looking to jump into the online world. I don't know how. Just saying it. I wasn't asking for help or anything. It was just an idea. And then all of a sudden, like a few days later, my friend said, hey, I have a client. I'm not able to help them. Can you help them? And that's kind of how my business started. Was I decided, sure, I'll take a leap. I have a business officially, and I can help them. They needed help with like tech online, and they needed like email support, something I was very comfortable with already. And it kind of just took off from there.
I love that. I think that's awesome. And I think what's really interesting about your story specifically there is travel kind of jump starting you into online business, serving people online so that way you can travel. How do you, I guess, keep traveling still as top of mind in order to successfully run a business but not get burned out and
Mm.
still also get to travel how you want to travel?
So the way I am able to travel and be a digital nomad still is relying on my teams and relying on systems. So every day kind of looks the same, whether I'm in the middle of Spain or in the middle of Canada. And if I need to take a day off, I have support to help me do that. And I think it's really important that in a digital team, everyone kind of needs to be dispersed and be able to work online as well. I think one of the downsides to like traditional businesses is everyone's kind of stuck in one spot and you can't adapt very easily. So it's really important to kind of have those teams that you can rely on.
Ooh, I kind of love what you said right there about like adapting and whatnot. I guess, would you say there is a significant difference from, running a business sort of like remote, but, kind of like at home, like in one spot versus seeing the world, getting to like experience new things, new food, new people, and so on?
Well, I would say it definitely broadens my perspective, but it also broadens my client base. People see me all over the world. I have clients in Europe, in America, in Canada, and I get to meet new people who have, frankly, very similar needs, which is very beautiful to see that the world is kind of like so big, but we all kind of have the same needs. So I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I feel like I remember last time we talked, you had mentioned that you frequently do meetups with other entrepreneurs while you're on the road. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, so there's a thriving digital nomad community in most major cities. The most recent city I was in was in Mallorca, and they had a digital nomad meeting every Tuesday, and you could meet all of the expats on the island and chat and kind of network if you wanted to, or just have a beer if you wanted to. But it was really nice to see people that are very like minded and have the same lifestyle and are running small, big, medium businesses just like me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I guess like for those who are listening and are wondering like, you know, is that something that you feel is necessary to not necessarily like survive a digital nomad business, but more of like, just kind of like getting through it?
Yeah, it's the community is huge and it doesn't have to be just in person. There are digital nomads you can chat with in like Facebook groups in basically anywhere. Like we're all over the world. Like if you know someone who's working online, they're probably at some point going to bring their business traveling with them, which is
Right.
really beautiful. Such a good community.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's so interesting too, because I feel like a common theme on creator stories has been sort of finding your community of other entrepreneurs who are like your business, like-minded like you are, and sort of using that or using them as someone to lean on. And but it's just like that's different, right, than somebody who's like, my challenges as a digital nomad are completely different than if you have a home base. It's sort of the same routine every day. You have like the same computer, you're in the same desk, and so on. I think we had talked about this last time where I was like, I can't imagine not having like my desk to work and having to like sort of switch that every time you go to a new place.
Totally. Well, they have things called like co-living spaces, which basically pairs
Oh,
you up
cool.
um, in different countries. But in like you've heard of um, co-working places where you can go and you have like a makeshift desk or whatever. It's not technically yours, but you can go for the day.
Mhm.
Basically, they do the same thing, but with housing. So you can pair up with all of these different digital nomads. They're running their businesses from the same house, kind of like a hostel, but like much more elevated.
Mhm.
and more permanent. So you're not just kind of like meeting someone for a day and then see you later kind of thing. You're living in these countries, and so you have the same desk, you have coworkers basically like built in, and then you have friends for the weekend festivities. So I really like the idea of a co-living house because it kind of makes you feel at home while you're
Mhm.
digital nomading in a different country. So you can bring your business, you can meet other businesses, other business people, network, and hang out.
Yeah, that's awesome because it also doesn't seem like it feels like, I don't know, like I think of like when I go to travel, I'm in a hotel. Sometimes there's a table, sometimes there isn't. There might be a chair, there might not.
Yeah, that's why these are handy is they are guaranteeing good Wi-Fi and a good chair. So very
Right. Right. In terms of sort of running your business online on the go, how would you say, how, like, what are some of the challenges and ways you sort of figure out time differences? Say, you were in one place for a while, you're ready to go to the next, but the time difference is a little bit different. Like, in terms of planning out your travel on top of work, like, how does that play a part together?
Yeah, so in my contract, all of discussed times and everything are discussed in Eastern Standard Time. So the client will never see anything other than my Eastern Standard Time, even if they're in different countries or places. Like we discuss times in Eastern Standard Time so that it's not any different from them if I happen to be somewhere else. I can rely on it, and yeah, it just makes it a lot easier and more stable for sure. And I tend to not travel in places that are wildly different. So Europe's about 6 hours ahead. That's totally fine. I can have a sleep in and then work in the afternoon. Whereas if I had chosen to work from like Thailand or something, I think that's like 10 or 12 hours. So that's a big difference. That's
Yeah.
me working in the middle of the night. So just working smartly is key to working abroad.
Right. And I'm assuming like it's not like regular travel, right? When you go on vacation, you're just like, yeah, we're gonna go to this place. You have to also factor in like, all right, like which clients am I working with? What times did we discuss they're available? Okay, so what are my working hours? What hours can I work over there? And, I guess on top of that, like, where can I also make time to actually go see some sightseeing things or like go experience like actually like being here and so on.
Totally. So systems are really important. Always having things like a calendar that um, displays in the standard time, but also displays in your own, so you can adjust and make sure that hey, I didn't set meetings at 4 in the morning. So systems are really important, and just having a routine that's very important. You never kind of want to just travel and be like, I'll work whenever. That's not going to work for your clients. It's not going to work for you. And then putting yourself in a place where you are surrounded by like-minded people. So if you're in a hostel or in a hotel room, you're going to be kind of tempted not to work your regular hours. You're going to want to go out and explore or hang out with other people. So working from a co-working place or in a co-living house is really beneficial because you are surrounded by people also working their version of the 9 to 5, and you don't really get that FOMO, and they are automatically naturally going to be wanting to go out on the weekends and in the evenings as well. So you kind of set like working boundaries. This is my working time while on vacation or on digital nomading, and these are the times we can go and have fun. And it's really helpful for the day to day because the worst thing you can have is no boundaries when working.
Right, right. That actually like kind of came to mind or brought to mind a question of sort of, I feel like when you see digital nomading on social media, it seems so glamorous. They have these beautiful pictures. They're doing all these really cool things. Sometimes they get free stuff. Like what is the real deal? Like what's the reality of actually traveling on the go and also running your online business?
So those people you're seeing are probably influencers. So that's a huge difference from digital nomading. They're paid to make things look beautiful and make things look fun and show off beautiful hotels and things like that. So they're in a completely different sphere to someone, say, running a clothing company remotely. Um, they're not really interested in showing people around their hotel or whatever. So I would say it's just as glamorous as working from your house. It's no different, and then it just happens that the outside world is just like maybe a little bit more exciting to you, so you can go and explore it. But um, yeah, I would say those are influencers for sure.
I love that. I love differentiating that too, because I know, especially like for me, like my sister all the time is like, oh, like we should do this. You already work remote. And I'm like, it's not, I don't think it's actually like that. Like for me, as far as I guess digital nomading goes, my fiance is from New Jersey. So we're both remote, but we were long distance for like the first 2 years. So we were actually going back and forth between California and New Jersey for so long. And it worked because we were both remote. So we could stay for however long we wanted. But it was like you still work 9 to 5, you still work your hours that you have to work. And then on weekends, you get some free time. Maybe during the weekday, because we're not there for very long, like we'll go see friends, we'll go get dinner, we'll like go into New York and like, have an exciting time. But it's not like what you see on social media in terms of influencers, where it feels like they're just vacationing constantly and somehow making money at the same time.
Totally. How did you feel the time difference was?
Honestly, I mean, it's not that bad because it's only 3 hours. But what I learned after doing it for so long, we've been together for almost 5 years now. We'll hit 5 years in April, but we still go back there and we both work from there. So it still kind of happens. But we learned that we have to take a 7 a.m. flight from San Francisco in order to not have bad jet lag.
Mm.
Yeah, so I used to like taking red eyes because I was like, I could work all day, then I can go fly, and then I can work the next day. But, LOL at me because that never worked. I would get there at like 5 a.m. Eastern time, and then I would be like, I need to just sleep. I didn't get any sleep. I'm so tired. And then I'd end up sleeping till like 1 p.m., which ended up just screwing me over because that was almost like waking up at, what is that over here? Like, I think that's 9 a.m. And so it just ruined my schedule.
Mm.
So I feel like I'm getting better at it. And that's why like I'm so curious about sort of the time management when you're going to other countries, because I could barely do it going from West Coast to East Coast.
So yeah, we're only tacking to Europe. We're only tacking on another 3 hours, so it's not too crazy. But you really nailed the point home there. It's you're trying to do that multiple times in a month, multiple times in a week. Um, Most digital nomads don't really want to hop around, so they will set themselves in a place for at least a month. So that they can, yeah, get
Oh.
comfortable. There's no jet lag. There's no change. They know the Wi-Fi works, the tables have nice chairs, things like that. And they get to know the area. So that's the kind of advantage to being a nomad, is that you get to kind of live in the city instead of being only there for a week and kind of
Mhm.
trying to see all the sites immediately. You get to kind of experience them slowly and like a local.
Yeah, I love that a lot because I feel like, I mean, I've been to New Jersey a lot now because my fiance is from there. But when we go for a short amount of time, it feels like we got to like fit everything in to this small amount of time. It is so tiring. I'm always like, can we go home and just like not do anything?
Yeah, and when you're like positioning yourself somewhere, you can do that and it's so nice.
Right, right. I love that. So, where I want to, oh my God, sorry, there's a bug right there. It just flew into my face. Nice little tidbit for everyone there. So something that came to mind that I feel like is pretty new that we could talk about this time around is you being a certified consultant, but also one of our business experts for our community. And what I wanted to bring into this conversation is really just like, you know, from your perspective and in your experience, like How do you get to a point where you're able to work with other businesses, I guess sort of like in a collaborative way, but also, still be your own company?
Mm. So podcasting is something really beautiful, that kind of you can network with other businesses. I know there's a bunch of like different matching sites for podcasts. There's one called, I think it's Matchmaker FM.fm, and they can match you with different podcasts. So kind of networking like that. I know we're in the digital age and we're still stuck inside kind of because of the pandemic. We're going back inside, and it's difficult to meet people in person. But that's one way, online to meet people, is to maybe trade podcasts or trade blogs, things like that. Um, the way I got into it is, I don't know, I've just been around for a long time. And I actually was working with Don Petrin, who is one of the other experts, in the group and in Interact in general. And she mentioned that Interact is amazing. We made some quizzes together, and I totally felt that. So, yeah, I kind of just started building lots and lots of quizzes and became an expert in my own right, and uh, asked Interact if they wanted to certify me, and turns out they did. So that's how I got there. But yeah, I would say just like playing the long run, or long game, and kind of just becoming an expert in your own field. And um, yeah, networking is definitely the best thing out there. People know people, so start
Yeah.
chatting.
I love that because I will say from sort of the software company side, from our end, it's like there's so many people out there. We obviously can't talk to every single person, so we don't necessarily know. And so I love that you sort of mentioned like I reached out and asked because you just also never know. And if the worst somebody could say is no, right? Like, or like, oh, like that's not something we're doing. But in this case, it ended up working out. But my point is from the software company side, we are looking for people to sort of be like, hey, I do this and that. If you feel like this is a right fit, maybe we could hop on a call and discuss this. And then you never know where that will go. But it's super interesting to hear it sort of from your perspective of kind of like that journey, sort of finding a software, starting to use it, realizing you like it, and then being like, all right, let me just see what happens if I ask.
Yeah, totally. Um, and I'm a big fan of finding good software because there's a lot in the market. I actually just built a quiz on a competing thing, and it was not as fun as Interact. And I'm like, okay, we're going back. I never left actually, but they needed different requirements, and I was like, okay, I'll try that. Just kidding. I prefer Interact.
I guess like that kind of brings an interesting point in terms of like, what are some of the things to look out for when you are working with a software company and partnering with them?
Mm.
I guess in terms of like good and bad, like what are some of the things that you want to see and some of the things that you're like, oh, that's kind of a red flag.
Well, company culture is really beautiful to see. Me coming in as an expert, or a consultant, I don't necessarily see inside of a lot of um, tech software businesses like this, but I did notice that Interact has a beautiful company um, kind of culture. What do you call it? I think that's what you call it. Just you guys like have team meeting days that are like days off, and I don't know, you guys had like a retreat that was cute, and just like in general, everyone I've talked to at Interact is super passionate, and that's, I think, pretty rare in a big company. Like usually you see passion in like tiny startups, but like once you start growing and growing and growing, not everyone's kind of on the same ship. They're just there to like punch a clock or whatever. But I see the opposite with Interact, so that's really nice to witness.
Oh, I love that. I mean, I'm biased, but
Actually, I'm like, maybe I'm too biased to answer this too.
well, I just think it's like interesting for, maybe for those who are listening, if they are in a spot where they're like, oh, that's something that I would like to do. I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who would never even thought of like sending an email and asking, of just being like, I don't know who this is supposed to go to. I actually get those all the time. I always respond. I will say I always respond. And so if you guys are thinking about it, hit me up. Just kidding. But really.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but it's just like interesting to hear from your perspective in terms of like, I'm especially sort of working with a lot of systems and with funnels. It's like there are, you probably gravitate towards specific softwares over time, right? Like you're like, yeah, I actually really like to specifically work with this for email, this for, lead magnet, this for, website software. God, that was terrible. Web host. You know what I'm talking about.
Totally. Yeah, I think it's really important if you are planning on pairing or working with anyone. You really need to be able to get behind their product. I learned the hard way with that quiz company. They have really terrible. Okay, this is maybe I'm throwing people under the bus, but like, just the response rate was really slow, and it was really frustrating. And I could never pair with a company that doesn't care about user experience, and just something that I would have a hard time recommending to my clients. So really getting behind and loving anything that you are promoting. I think that goes without saying for everyone. Like, it always sucks when you see an influencer pitching something that they clearly don't care about. Like, that's not cool. I know.
Right.
I know the
Right.
creators got in trouble with that with the like fit gummies or something. They were hearing about them.
Oh, I like vaguely remember that. I
So
vaguely remember that. But no, I totally get what you mean. I mean, with us all the time, every time we talk to people we want to partner with, there is sort of this space between actually working together of like, wait, I need to use your product to see if I really like it. And I have had people in the past be like, if you're not okay with that, then we can't work together. And I was like, no, no, no. Like, I would rather you have an honest review of how you feel about the product, if not for us to make it better, but also we don't want to lie to people. We're actually like on our end of,
underrated.
yeah, we're very much on the like, if it doesn't work for you, that's totally fine. Please find something that does work for you, because it's just like it makes everybody's lives harder at the end of the day. If you have sort of like, this kind of goes too much into like who your audience is, who your ICA is, all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, it's like companies and sort of, I guess, entrepreneurs and service-based businesses want to work with people. They want to serve people who actually need that, or actually need what that company or business offers.
Yeah, totally. So if you're pairing with anyone, make sure you love them.
Right, right.
In
Yeah,
life,
give it
in business.
give it a whirl. I will say, like, for those who are listening, like if you did end up partnering with someone who, or even collaborating, I guess, with like another service-based business where you didn't feel like you had enough time to figure that out, probably not a good fit.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
something to reconsider, I would say. Um, wow, yeah, that was actually really interesting. I never asked that question. So this is gonna be the first time anyone ever hears about it. I love it. I love it. I guess my kind of last question from here is, in terms of your business goals, with, I know you said that you're starting to expand. So I know that you were saying that you're starting to expand, you rebranded, you're also, pairing up and partnering with companies like us. So I guess like in terms of your business goals, what does growth look like to you from here?
Mm. So, I mean, everyone's, I feel like everyone's goal is to kind of work less um, in life. So, what I'm trying to do is kind of still servicing clients, but kind of taking some time for myself as well. So, I've moved to taking Fridays off, which is lovely. So, a 4-day work week. And then from there, maybe even shortening my days. But that's just one aspect. I business wise, I am moving more towards coaching rather than doing. I love to teach people how to, I've done this ever since I was a chef, but teaching people how to build their own funnels, understand what a funnel is, learn top things like advertising. All of that is really important to business owners and especially small business owners because no one's out there really teaching them. So that's kind of where I'm going is teaching rather than doing. And that really excites me. When I was a virtual assistant, what I really wanted to do was like teach women entrepreneurs because I felt like they didn't really have the leg up that others did. And I still put that in my business mantra of just like helping and teaching as much as possible so that we can kind of get ahead together.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Liezl, thank you so much for being on with us today. I do have two last questions that I like to close out with if you're up for it.
Let's do it.
Sweet. So, second to last question for you is what are three things that most people would not know about you?
Okay, we went through a whole bunch of them already. Okay, one is secretly I'm a yoga teacher.
Oh,
Practice Reiki. So, I like to bust that out when I'm like traveling and stuff and teach some yoga classes. I don't normally do that during the regular week, but it's nice to do while traveling. Second is I'm learning Spanish. I already speak
ooh.
French pretty fluently, so I'm adding a third language so that I can go back and work from Mallorca and not 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 be so foreign. And third, I call Canada home.
Ooh, I
So
love
that's where
that.
I am for the holidays right now.
I love that. Well, I guess like, okay, this isn't my actual last question, but from that, because you're a digital oh my God, I can't talk. Because you're a digital nomad, do people just like, I guess like you don't really have to say like, oh, like I'm based here. Like I guess would most people know you were from Canada?
Yeah, so like I said in my contract, it says I'm from Canada. I work in Eastern.
Okay.
I charge in Canadian or American dollars, but they kind of, yeah, they think I'm from
Okay.
Canada.
That makes sense. I was like, ooh, that's kind of cool having that I really can't talk anonymity of like, oh, I don't like you don't know where I am or where I'm from.
Exactly. I could have been
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm in the Arctic right now.
Right. Love it. So last question for you is if you could give yourself a single piece of advice at the start of it all, what would it be?
I would say just start. I think that's important for me, and I think that's important for everyone listening. Whether it's you already run a business and you want to kind of try something new, or whether you are thinking of starting a business, the thing you can do is just start. Someone handed me a client. Had they not done that, I would have probably hummed and hawed for another 4 years and maybe even forever. Um, just kind of letting yourself jump off the cliff and see where the parachute takes you.
Ooh, I love that. I love that. And Liesl, please, can you tell everybody where they can find you online?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram. I love to chat with people on Instagram at funneltastic.ca. And my website is the same. It's www.funneltastic.ca.
You can also find her at Interact, guys. So,
The certified consultant section at the very bottom.
yeah, love it. And we will link those for you so you guys can find her. But until next time, we will see you guys soon.
Yay!
Bye.
Bye.